Theo's 12th birthday was supposed to be simple: cake, music, a lakeside breeze drifting through our old family home. But sometimes life doesn't warn you before it shatters. Sometimes truth walks into the room wearing a bruise. I'm Jillian Harper, 40 years old, single mother, owner of Harper's Lakeside, a restaurant I built from nothing but grit and long nights. I thought I knew how to handle storms, but nothing prepared me for the storm my own family had been quietly brewing. The evening had been warm, soft, full of chatter. Candles flickered against the lake's reflection. Then Theo stepped into the dining room and my breath froze. A bruise, deep and ugly, shadowed his small eye. My heart collapsed into itself. My sister's son, 15-year-old Tucker, leaned back in his chair with a smirk that didn't belong on anyone's face, let alone a child. "I just taught him a lesson," he muttered. And to my horror, my parents laughed, as if he'd cracked a joke. The room softened into an uncomfortable silence. My sister, Marla, fiddled with her wine glass, avoiding my eyes like they burned. "Theo," I whispered, my voice sharp, "little blade, who did this to you?" He hesitated, looked at Marla, then said something that turned the air to ice. "Why did you let him?" The glass slipped from Marla's hand, shattering across the floor. Her face drained, lips parting without a sound. Guests froze mid-breath. A chill crawled up my spine. What did my sister know? And why did Theo think she allowed it? I didn't have the answers then, but I knew one thing: that bruise wasn't an accident. It was a warning, a crack running through our family wall, and I would follow that crack all the way to the truth. A week before the party, I had overheard something I wasn't meant to hear. I'd stepped outside by the dock after closing the restaurant. The night had been peaceful, just waves brushing wood, the kind of quiet you trust. But then I heard her voice. "Marla." Sharp, bitter. "Dad's giving Theo everything," she snapped into her phone. "Maybe it's time he learns what responsibility feels like." My breath hitched. Theo was 12, soft-spoken, the kind of kid who chose books over trouble. Why would she resent him? Then her voice dropped lower. "If he's the favorite, someone needs to show him it's not that easy." Someone. My pulse stumbled. She paced by the boat shed, angry enough to kick at gravel. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Then her words changed shape, colder. "We need to control this before it's too late." Control what? The inheritance. The restaurant. My son. I should have confronted her that night, but fear glued me to the shadows, because suddenly I wasn't hearing my sister. I was hearing a stranger. Back to the party, back to the bruise. When I leaned toward Theo, he shrank. "It was an accident," he whispered. Marla overheard, flashing a smile far too practiced. "Kids play rough, Jillian, don't overthink things." Overthink? My son's fear wasn't something you overthink. I watched Mara's phone light up. A message appeared. "Did you tell him yet?" Her face went stiff. She shoved the phone into her pocket. The room buzzed, but none of it felt real. It was like everyone sensed something was wrong, yet everyone pretended it wasn't their business. My parents chimed in, tone cutting, "Don't ruin the party." Their eyes were on Marla, soft with favoritism. Always her, never me. I kept quiet for Theo. But inside me, something had snapped. When the guests finally left, the house fell quiet, too quiet. Marla sat on the couch, swirling wine as if nothing was wrong. "We need to talk," I said. She didn't look worried, she looked annoyed. Before she could lie again, my friend Connie stepped forward, eyes nervous, voice trembling. "Jillian, last week I heard crying near the dock. I thought it was Theo, and I heard Tucker's voice. When I went to look, they were gone." Marla stiffened. My parents barged in. "Enough, Jillian, we don't need drama, boys fight." But I wasn't looking at them anymore. I was staring at the woman I once trusted more than anyone. "Marla," I said, voice steady, "I'm checking the security cameras." She laughed, forced, shaky. "Go ahead, waste your time." But her hands betrayed her, they trembled. I walked away before rage swallowed me whole. In my study, only the lamplight and the lake outside kept me company. I opened the security app. Pulled up the footage from the night Connie mentioned. And then, the screen froze my heartbeat. There was Theo on the grass near the dock. Small, curled up, terrified. There was Tucker standing over him, shoving him so hard that Theo's head snapped back when he hit the ground. And there, worst of all, Marla, standing a few feet away, watching, not stepping in, not calling out, just watching. I paused the video, tears burning. Mom, Theo's voice behind me made my chest tighten. I showed him the screen gently. What happened, sweetheart? I asked. He swallowed. Marla told Tucker I deserved it. Those words didn't bruise, they crushed. I hugged him tight, feeling his fear, his trembling breaths. He shouldn't have carried this alone. I had failed him by trusting the wrong people. I stormed into the living room where my parents and Marla sat. Marla, I said, holding up the phone, explain this. She looked at the screen and her face broke. It's not what it looks like, she whispered. My voice shook with rage. You told your son to hurt mine. My parents panicked, not for Theo, but for our reputation. Jillian, don't make this public, Mom pleaded. Think of the restaurant. Of course, always image over reality. Mara's voice cracked. I was upset. Theo always gets everything and Tucker feels overshadowed. I didn't think he'd actually hurt him. But the footage said otherwise. My parents looked horrified, but not horrified enough to defend my son. That's when the truth settled hard and sharp in my chest. They were never going to choose Theo. They were never going to choose me. Family doesn't always mean protection. Sometimes it means danger wearing a familiar face. I turned to my sister, the woman who shared my childhood, my blood, my memories. You crossed a line, I said quietly. And there is no going back. I took Theo's hand. For the first time in years, he didn't look small, he looked relieved. The next morning, mist lay thick over the lake. Our home felt heavier, like it knew what was coming. Marla waited for me, eyes red, guilt painting her face. But guilt doesn't erase cruelty. It doesn't erase the bruise under my son's eye. I realized something that morning, something hard but necessary. You don't protect a family legacy by staying silent. You protect it by doing what's right. And protecting Theo meant taking back control. Of my restaurant. Of my homes. Of our future. Conclusion, the lesson. Sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones we expect to protect us. But love isn't about blood, it's about choice. And the moment someone chooses cruelty over compassion, you have the right to walk away. Theo taught me something that night. Silence is permission. And I would never again be silent. Not for a sister. Not for my parents. Not for the family name. Only for my son. The only family who truly chose me back.